everyone, and welcome to week 13, May 6th to the 10th of our e-learning business leadership course. This is what's on tap for week 13. Hard to believe it, but we are approaching mid-month by the end of this week, and before you know it, you will be into June for final performance tasks and examinations. The last leg of the course students really do tend to enjoy as we sort of tie all the pieces of this course together, and I think you'll really enjoy the content for this week, so let's see what's on tap. As always, start your week off with that participation activity to ensure that you are marked as present to this course for the entire week. On Monday, we have a couple of lessons this week. So with lessons, as you know, my expectation is that you have been taking notes and that everything that you do in terms of the assessments of this course, you're tying it back to that lesson content. So we have a couple of lessons this week on motivation and stress. So I think you're really going to enjoy this content. And ultimately, it's very, very relatable content. So the lesson on motivation takes you through a number of different theories of motivation, much like we learned in Unit 1, managerial theories. And we did a whole bunch of work on connecting to a variety of different ways that we can manage others. We also learn in this unit that we are all motivated differently. So the way that you tick and the way that you're motivated, we don't want to assume, especially as leaders or future leaders, that everybody ticks in the same kind of way. So we're going to look at a variety of different motivational theories and practices throughout this week, and obviously learn how to apply them. And then I'll be expecting you to apply those theories as we move through the rest of the course. Okay, so we'll learn about, for example, Hertzberg's theories and the McClellan theory. We're going to learn about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, and a variety of also additional theories. In addition to that, you are going to be watching a wonderful TED Talk by Daniel Pink. It's called The Puzzle of Motivation. And with these TED Talks, again, you'll see these come into play in a variety of assessments moving forward. So it's always expected that you're taking notes and referring back to this TED Talk in future assessments. So once you've done this lesson on motivational theory and you've taken your notes on the TED Talk, you've got a discussion post. And this discussion post for this week, and you'll see that right reflected here, the puzzle of motivation. You'll find it in Brightspace as always. Really asks you to reflect on that TED Talk and that lesson. With the discussion post, as always, you are expected to ask a question of your peers and read and reply to at least 2 peer questions after the fact. Discussion posts are marked at random and are all included in your overall learning skills assessment for completion marks. Okay, so make sure you do that. The second lesson is on workplace stress. And so this is obviously a hot topic and great for students. It's very relatable and how stress ties to motivation. And you are also assigned a TED Talk with this lesson as well. It's the Kelly McGonigal TED Talk on how to make stress your friend. It's really just affording you the opportunity to see stress not as a negative thing. I think in our culture, we really frame stress as completely negative, and like the idea is that we want to remove stress completely from our lives. But the reality is we're mammals, and actually stress is really important for our overall performance. We call this eustress. Stress is actually it is a helpful tool to human biology and to human motivation. And so really, obviously, it's on a spectrum. There's eustress, but then stress can be destructive depending how far along that spectrum you are. But it's really looking at it from a different perspective, and how can you actually make stress something that you can use and grow from. So this lesson takes you through a variety of different pieces on stress. It also looks at stress in the Canadian workforce and sort of where we're at in terms of how we can manage stress in the workforce so that our employees can be as productive as they can be. So you also have a discussion post for that as well. So discussion post number 7 is workplace stress. So you'll have the article as well as the TED Talk and a second article assigned to you, and then a number of questions that you have to relate back to that content. And again, I'm going to be looking for those direct connections. Ask a question of your peers, read and reply to at least 2 peer questions. Okay, so you've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to work on that. All of that is due, of course, Monday as usual at 8 a.m. And then the last thing on the agenda for this week is we're going to introduce the concept of human resources management. So, when we're working with people, there's an entire sector of leadership or an entire department within the field of business, and you could study it in university. It's called human resources. And human resources departments are responsible for basically managing employees as it pertains to their pay, as it pertains to their well being, benefits, as it pertains to hiring and firing practices, as well as training and orientation. So you're going to be looking at the human resources sector and learning a little bit about what requirements occur within that sector. I'm pretty passionate about human resources. My father was a VP of Bank of Montreal and human resources for the majority of his career, and then he created his own consulting firm. So I know a lot about it, and it's a really wonderful career field. So make sure that you go through this content and obviously take notes as usual. And then there's one of our very last, you'll be happy to hear, readings of the course. So assigned to you is this reading on human resources, just to understand different terminology as it pertains to the human resources sector. And then a last guided questions reading sheet, where you just have to go through the reading and answer the question specifically from that reading. So again, I'm not looking for you to go to AI or to Google to answer these questions. I want you to derive it directly from the reading, because that's really what we're looking for. Okay. And there's a thinking question that's tied to this as well. So you'll find this human resources reading in Dropbox. So if you go to assessments in Dropbox and you scroll down, you'll see that this is an inquiry assignment. And again, the idea behind this is that you need to get the content so that you can, right here, assignment 6, answer the questions and tie those questions back to future assignments. Everything that I'm looking for on your performance task as well as your examination is the ability to display knowledge from the course, because it's an e-learning course. It is important that you can show me that you have gone through that content. And so if you're pulling content from the internet and it's not content that pertains to the course that I've taught you, then I'm going to know that you haven't gone through that content. So it's really, really important that you do that. And that's it for this week. So it's a gentle week. It's a content heavy week, but I think you'll really enjoy the content. So just to summarize, you've got the 2 lessons, motivation and stress. You've got the 2 TED Talks. Take notes. Make sure that you are connecting everything that we do back to that content. The 2 discussion posts, and the human resources reading and guided question sheet. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. All of this content is due on Monday, May 13th at 8 a.m. Otherwise, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you online.